Hello and welcome to the On Deck podcast. Happy Monday. Tyler Wiemann, am on solo today with the 2-game NFL slate. We are super busy and we are also about to get out the NFL show. So Shannon and I have split some duties today to get everything covered. We'll just jump right into it a little bit here today. First of all, I'll just highlight the good old LineStar here. $30 a month. You get everything, all sports, props, edge. You get it all. It's a great deal. Best deal in DFS. Now let's just jump right into the projections. We'll go over to baseball. We're going to go to the ownership page with pitching. So today's highest owned pitcher is Edward Cabrera. He is 40% on DraftKings, and he's coming in at 34% on FanDuel. Cabrera is a guy that has really nice upside with some solid and cheap value here. As you can see, we're in a pitcher's friendly park, 4-star alert rating. The Cubs strike out at 27%, and they really haven't been a good offense versus righties. 280 WOBA, 138 ISO. The one thing I will bring your attention to, if you do want to follow the field and play some chalk here, he is allowing 44% fly balls, and he's allowed 10 barreled balls over the last month. This is good for a bottom 5% of barreled balls allowed. So there is a chance that he could get hit hard here. 5.76 FIP over the last 5 starts, which generally is about that last month, which the StatCast data would be going over. And BVP numbers hasn't really faced them. Vegas run totals 3.5. So this is a low scoring game. People do like Cabrera. Personally, I may not follow the chalk with this one. So next we have Corbin Burnes, 36% owned on DraftKings, 33% on FanDuel. Now we know Burnes is a terrific pitcher here. But let's dive into this particular matchup a little bit. It is a tough one. He is going against the Mets. They only strike out at 18%. They have a .347 WOBA versus righties. And in 54 plate attempts, they're hitting 240 off Burnes. So Burnes has had some success. We'll look at his matchup data. He's had some real nice games. 8 Ks last time out, which was in June. And before that, in 2001, he had 9 Ks and 8 Ks. So he has been able to strike out the Mets very frequently. With a 31% K rate here for the team VBP. Now, it does seem that Burnes has figured it out a little bit. He's gone through a little bit of a rough patch, had a great game versus San Francisco, and then was meh against St. Louis, but 5 Ks going 7 innings isn't too shabby. St. Louis is a great team here. So I'll just bring you to the last 5 starts numbers. 4.64 FIP is a little less than desirable when you're talking about a high-owned starter at a very high price also. Now, the one thing, though, is his StatCast data has come around. His StatCast data is good. During that stretch, it was looking a little rough, but he's pulled it around. So I understand why people are going here. We do have a very interesting slate, though, with a lot of really good pitchers. So on today's slate in particular, I'm not a huge fan of the chalk, and there are some really good low-owned pitchers or lower-owned pitchers. So next, we'll go into Kyle Wright here. It is versus Washington, which we know Washington has not had a great offense. They lost Soto. They've been okay. They've been around average. 3.19 WOBA versus righties, but they only strike out at 19%. So that may lower his upside a little bit. And as a whole, over the last 20 starts, he only has a 21.7% K rate. So you do need to worry about his upside a little bit here. Over the last 5 starts, that K rate is closer to 25%, which is great. And his StatCast data is great. But just know, as a whole, that upside may not be quite there. We do have him at a 20.8% combined K rate, but he has been great in the BVP department here with 38 plate attempts. They're hitting 189 off of him. So Wright is a decent option, and now we'll jump right into our low-owned pitchers. So this matchup is a low-scoring game. We got Wade Miley versus Miami. Now, Miami has been absolutely terrible versus lefties. They have 100 ISO, a 280 WOBA, striking out at 25%. And Miley has been a decent pitcher, and he is super cheap at 6,600 on DraftKings. You know, it's close to minimum, not minimums, but he also got up to 75 pitches last start. And I think this is a big reason why his ownership is so low, is that he has been on a pitch count. So I think that may change a little bit. I think he may be able to go a little further into this game. And as far as a pitcher over his last 5 starts, 2.79 FIP. So a great FIP, 22% K rate. His StatCast data looks good. And like I said, Miami is just terrible versus lefties. So I really like the upside here at a super low price. He has a combined K rate of 22.6 on the slate. So I think he's a really nice value option. So next we'll go into Clayton Kershaw. Now Kershaw is 26% owned on DraftKings, 15% on FanDuel. So he isn't like super low owned, but he is low owned for being Clayton Kershaw. We know Kershaw is great. The Arizona Diamondbacks are not great. 307 WOBA versus lefties. And Kershaw has crushed them in the past. In 110 plate attempts, they're hitting 243 with a 22% K rate. The combined K rate today, however, is 23%. So we do have some upside there, not a ton. But Kershaw's just been great. 2.89 FIP over his last 5, 24% K rate over that time. StatCast data looks good. There's really no reason not to like Kershaw. He's been efficient. He's getting deep into games, going 6-7 innings over his last 2. And now the next one, we're going to Mad Max Scherzer. Now, I have no idea why Scherzer is going so low owned, but he's only 14% owned. And if you ask me, would I rather face the Milwaukee defense or offense or the Mets? I would rather face the Milwaukee, which Mad Max is facing. Milwaukee, they are a decent offense, just like the Mets. We got a 0.338 WOBA, 200 ISO, so they do hit righties hard. But Mad Max is Mad Max, and he has absolutely crushed Milwaukee in the past. 140 plate attempts, they're hitting 223 with a 33% K rate. So Mad Max has had great success against them, and he's been pitching well, 2.88 FIP over the last 5 starts. The StatCast data is a little worrying. 47% fly balls, 30% hard contact. So we do run the risk of a couple home runs, but Scherzer does that a lot, and he really just kind of shakes it off and keeps on pitching. Now, if you can look, we have his history versus Milwaukee here. He's had some real good games and some real nice upside there. So I do like Max at these low ownerships. So next, we will dive right into the stacks. And your high-owned stacks today should be no surprise. We have both San Francisco and Colorado. So the game total on this is 11.5. The next highest is 8.5. So you're talking about a 3-run difference in game total. So it should be no surprise that these two teams are incredibly high-owned, being the San Francisco Giants and the Colorado Rockies. Now, They're also going against two pitchers who haven't been great. The one thing I would say is that Chad Kuhl is better at home. It is not a very pitcher-friendly park here, being that it's in Colorado, but he still averages 25% fantasy points more at home. But all in all, he's not a great pitcher. 7.17 FIP over his last 5. Terrible StatCast data. Now, even in 25% better on these numbers isn't great. So it's no surprise that San Francisco is high owned. In the BVP numbers, they're hitting 289 off him in 52 plate attempts and have 2 home runs with an ISO of 244. So San Francisco is in a great spot tonight. Now we'll look at Colorado quickly as well. We got Jacob Junis on the hill. He also hasn't been great. He has been cool, but 4.5 FIP, 5.8 ERA. So he has been much. His ERA has been much worse than his FIP. Likely means that he's pitching a little bit better than his ERA is showing. His StatCast data is okay. Very little soft contact. Managing hard contact decent. Not a ton of barrel balls. But this game's in Colorado. Literally everybody can get a hit in Colorado. So you got to like it there. Huge game total here. Next, for the last high-owned stack, we're going to go to the Atlanta Braves. Now, I'm saying 3 here because these 3 teams are super high-owned compared to everybody else. With that being said, I just wanted to touch on all 3. And then we'll get into 2 low-owned stacks. So we're going against Abbott here. And Abbott has not been a great pitcher. He has had a rough time in the major leagues. And as you can see, he has gone very deep into games. 3 innings last time versus Baltimore, 1 inning versus the Phillies, 4 innings versus the Cardinals. So he's really having a tough time, not going far into games here. In Atlanta offense, first righties, 3.35 WOBA, almost 200 ISO. They're hitting him hard. And we also have a good umpire for hitters. A Vegas run total of 5.6 is really high. 5.47 FIP. Ton of fly balls. Almost 40% hard contact. There's a lot to like about the Braves tonight. And now we'll go into the low-owned stacks. We have the Los Angeles Dodgers versus Merrill Kelly. Now, Kelly has been a really good pitcher, but the Dodgers absolutely have his number. In 183 plate attempts, they're hitting 358 off him with 9 home runs and a 259 ISO. The Vegas run total is only 4.7, but the Dodgers just have continually done very well against Kelly. They also just saw him last week, so they're a little more accustomed to it. And over those last 5 games, Kelly's allowing 36% hard contact, 38% fly balls. And, when you're dealing with the Dodgers, it's one thing you don't want to do is give up a lot of fly balls and a lot of hard contact. He has a 4.9 FIP over his last 5, which also is not great. So he's struggling a little bit, and I would not mind to take advantage. Next, we are going to go to Baltimore versus the Detroit Tigers. So now we got Tyler Anderson on the bump, and he is not getting the Tyler bump. That is for sure. We're going the opposite way. We have a 7.47 FIP over the last 5 starts for Anderson. He has not been good. 39% hard contact. 36% fly balls, and a ton of barreled balls. 14 barreled balls in the last month. This Baltimore offense is pretty sneaky, pretty good, and they have crushed Anderson as well. Very small sample size, but in 11 plate attempts, they're hitting 455 off him with a 273 ISO. Again, 4.6 Vegas implied total here. So high, but not near as high as Atlanta and Colorado and the Giants. But this is an offense that is good going against a bad pitcher, and I would love to exploit this spot. So that'll do it for today. Thank you guys for joining us. reminder here, make sure to like our YouTube page, subscribe, and comment. Tell us how we're doing. We want to make this as good as we can, and all the feedback is accepted. And lastly, sign up for LineStar. Only $30 a month. You can get all of this information at the palm of your hands. You get the apps, you get the website, you have all of it. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and we'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Bye.